Hello, hello.
Hi.
Oh, I like the voice. Have you done voice work?
I have a voice reel. I haven't been fortunate enough yet to book a voiceover job.
We'll talk about it. We could talk about all this stuff, right?
Whatever you want, yeah.
That's what I want.
Okay.
That's what I want. Is that your birth name, by the way?
Mallory?
Stanley.
Oh, Stanley. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Is it? I mean, because it's so perfect.
Is it really?
It works. It rolls off.
You know what's funny is when I was a kid, I hated my name, my first name in particular, because...
Are we recording? Go ahead, tell me about it.
My first name in particular because it was so different, right? And when you're a kid, you don't really like being different. But now as an adult, it's become more of a common name. But I'm so happy that that's my name because I would not have wanted to be Rachel, which is the name that I said when I was a kid. When I turned 18, I was going to change it to.
Wait a second. So your name is Malerie Stanley.
Yeah.
Right there, by the way. I don't want that to get missing. And of course, Josh Carey here with you. Welcome to the program, The Hidden Entrepreneur. So good to see you, to be seen. No longer hiding. You know the deal. Malerie, so your name, Malerie Stanley, we just established that is your birth name. But so growing up, you did not like it. And you said, when I am 18, which was what? Last month, right? You turned 18 last month?
Exactly. Wow, you're good. You're good.
You turned 18. So you thought all growing up, it was the name Malerie that you did not like?
I didn't like that it was so different. I mean, I grew up in a super small town where everyone knows everyone. So no one had the name Mallory.
And you felt like the spotlight is on you. I'm different. I'm the odd one out.
Yeah, you know, when you're a kid, you're already insecure in so many other ways. So.
Oh, no. and just for the record, all the kids out there, that goes away when you become 18. When you become 18, you're no longer insecure. So
that's inaccurate.
Right? Oh, it is. Right. But right. So we all are insecure as a kid, and most of us well into our 40s.
So, I mean, we all have insecurities, I think, that last the entirety of our lives, unfortunately.
Yeah. So you were insecure as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, not Mallory, I want to be Rachel. Why Rachel? Was it Friends influenced?
It 100%.
Was it?
I idolized Jennifer Aniston. I thought she was amazing. So I was like, Rachel's the perfect name.
Right. And then that will make me feel whole and complete.
No, not so much, but at least I wouldn't feel out. Like an outcast because of my name.
Wow. I think Mallory, how do you feel about it today?
Oh, I love my name. I love that it's different. No one spells it the way that I do.
Spell it. M-A-R-U. How do you spell it?
It's M-A-L-E-R-I-E. If you go anywhere and you have like those little name tags or trinkets or anything with the name Mallory, it's consistently M-A-L-L-O-R-Y. Malerie.
But your parents...
My mom knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was like, Valerie with an M. That's how it should be.
It's really wonderful. So you were like, when I'm 18, that's it. I can legally change it. So what happened on your 18th birthday? Because as I know, you're still Mallory.
You know, I don't think I can even recall where or what I was doing on my 18th birthday.
No, but I mean, like, why did that dream subside?
Oh, I mean, as I got older, I think I learned to embrace it, and I had other insecurities that were far worse, so I didn't need to focus on the name.
Like what?
You know, growing up with weight issues and things like that, I was never like when you're a kid, it's not always the best not to be super skinny and have a curvier figure, and kids are cruel, as we all know.
So, and I'm asking as someone who has spent decades insecure, and then all the other adjectives that go with it and emotional issues that accompany that. Where are you on the scale of insecurity and evolving from those days?
I mean, now it's mountains different. The difference is crazy, but I still struggle with insecurities as I think we all do, but it was really, really challenging growing up, especially in my teens. That was really hard. But every single year we get to know ourselves a little better, and we grow and we love ourselves a little bit more, hopefully. And that has definitely been the case for me.
So you have, you could easily be labeled as an entrepreneur. You have multiple businesses that you're involved in. You have an event planning side.
I do.
You have an upscale bartending side.
I do.
And you're an actor.
I am. Yeah. I entrepreneur is definitely, I think, the right title. I'm a very ambitious, driven individual.
I love it. We were talking briefly, and when I got the headphones on, I heard your voice in another way, and I said, "Have you done voice work? Because it seems like it's right there." Tell me.
I would absolutely love to. I have not been fortunate enough to book voiceover work. I have auditioned for a few different things, and unfortunately I wasn't what they were looking for, but voiceover work is something I would absolutely love to do. To see myself as a cartoon or a character on screen and have my voice be the voice, that would be amazing.
Give us a little taste.
A little taste?
Yeah.
Gosh. I'm trying to think. I did an ad for like a barbecue thing, and I did a Southern accent. So I talked like I was going out to an Outback Steakhouse.
And what about a cartoon character? What would you create for that?
Oh, those are tough, actually. Those are actually extremely challenging. I tried to do like a quirky character or something like that, and it was hard. I'm not going to lie. That's probably the one I struggle with the most.
Yeah.
I do like more of like the soothing voice or like the country accent, things like that. But yeah, cartoon characters are challenging.
So how do you balance the lanes that you're in? How do you wake up and know what you're going to be focusing on?
I mean, I'm always kind of scattered and all over the place. It's always doing 10 different things in one day, but I find that makes life really exciting. I've never really been one to, I worked a 9 to 5, of course, for a very long time, 13 years, and I was completely miserable. It was very soul-sucking. And what I learned was that even if I have to take on 20 different things and struggle for a while, it was worth the risk to leave that and do what I'm doing now. And it's extremely rewarding. So I don't mind doing a lot of different things. And usually it can be a little overwhelming at times, but I find that it's okay to juggle a lot of things.
So you have the confidence that's necessary today. We already established that wasn't always the case. What did you have to do to get to a more confident place?
Sometimes I feel like in life, things kind of accidentally fall into your lap. Like the whole event planning thing kind of just fell into my lap. It was very coincidental. And once I started working in that field, it gave me more confidence to pursue other avenues and other fields that maybe I had put on the back burner for a while. So sometimes it's really chance, but I think when you start to see like the progress and how well you're doing in one area, it pushes you to do that in other areas as well.
And you've never spoken on a show like this, you were saying.
This is my very first podcast interview, which is so exciting because I love podcasts, and I've always wanted to do one, but I just never, I have had opportunities, but I didn't take them. And so this is my very first.
So Josh Carey comes along and you're like, I will take this opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, no,
Why? Why was this the right time?
I hadn't actually heard of you before this, if I'm being completely honest.
I didn't expect you to have.
But I looked at your stuff and I looked at, I thought it was an interesting approach to doing. Most podcast interviews that I've been offered were not about segueing into like my career side. It was more like, let's talk sex, let's talk, partying, they're all fun and they're great. And I have no problem talking about those, but none of them really piqued my interest, I guess, enough.
So let's talk sex and let's talk partying has not piqued your interest. That's crazy.
I mean, I have no problem talking about any of those things, but I just.
But I'm not, I'm not going to get on your show and talk about sex and partying.
Right.
But can we talk about sex and partying?
Sure.
Oh.
What would you like to talk about?
I don't know. Sex and partying. What about it?
I mean, well, those are both pretty non-existent for me at the moment.
It's taken the turn, Jeremy. It's taken the turn. Remember that turn we spoke about? This is it. So they're non-existent. No sex, no partying.
Well, partying is very far behind me. I mean, I don't want to sound like an old lady, but yeah, I'll go out for drinks with friends, but that's pretty much the extent of it. But yeah, no, I've been single for actually pretty much the majority of my entire life.
Malerie. Right? Where? Why? Why do you think that is? By choice. Well, how does this conversation go?
Of course, it's certainly a choice, but, I think I made a lot of poor decisions when I was young as far as, trying to date men that clearly were not right for me, but I had my daddy issues and my insecurities. And then as I got older and I was ready to meet somebody, it was more like juggling 20 things, being an entrepreneur, focusing on work, being all over the place. So not always having enough time to dedicate to that part of my life.
So if I caught part of that, a relationship in your earlier past screwed things up?
Yes. So, I mean, my father was non-existent. So he bailed when I was an infant, showed up randomly when I was 11 years old. And that just, it messes with you. You have separation anxiety. I always would, sort of leave. When things started to get serious, I would just bail so that I didn't get left first, So I probably missed some opportunities with some great guys when I was younger. But then as I got older, I was able to understand and acknowledge that. Yeah. But now it's just it's hard to meet people.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you acknowledging that. It makes sense that there are things that have stung us in the past, and who wants to feel stung? So we do things to avoid, to sabotage, to protect, in a sense.
Right. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're also self-sabotaging.
You're right. They're the two sides of the same coin, perhaps, because you can't have one without the other.
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. So we shouldn't protect. We shouldn't self-sabotage. We should explore, open up, invite in.
I mean, I think you always have to be open, right? There's always the possibility that it's not going to work out, that you're going to get your feelings hurt, that you made the wrong choice. But I think without being open, you're closing yourself off to opportunities that may work out, that may be the right opportunity. So yeah, I'm a very open person, and I'm open to meeting somebody, hopefully, but I'm just not really looking for it.
What kind of person are you looking for?
I think that ambition is very sexy. Obviously, it's one of the things that I carry in myself. So someone ambitious, someone who's a goofball, who's not afraid to be silly, because I am a total goofball. Outside of the professional side, I am a smart ass, funny, I don't take myself seriously. So, just someone who's ambitious and fun and a joy to be around.
I love the goofball idea. I've had my my moments of goofball quite often, it seems, and there is always a sort of like a governor in my head telling me when to it's a little much. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's a time where there is always a time for play, if slash goofball slash not taking yourself too seriously, that I think people will not even for themselves allow themselves this emotion, which I think is quite necessary for balance, maybe. Now, granted, I've gone on that goofball side like almost exclusively, where there is no balance of more seriousness, maturity, professionalism. So there's a balance you gotta find.
Absolutely. But I think, the letting loose and not taking yourself seriously is extremely important, especially for those of us who spend the majority of our time working and working our asses off. Can I say that?
Yes. First of all, that was like the fourth curse you've said.
Is it really?
It's all right. It's all good.
I do curse like a sailor. It gets much worse when I drink.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think it's really important to have a balance of both. We've got to have our serious side, but we also have to let loose and have a good time.
And you have found a balance?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I say, most people who, when I tell them how many jobs that I have and what I do, their first question is, when do you have time for yourself? When do you do, how do you date? No wonder you don't date.
Which, first of all, we don't like hearing, do we?
Yeah. Yeah,
not the thing to say.
I'm like, mind your business.
I know, right? Like, I just asked for a coffee.
Yeah. No, I totally lost my train of thought.
I know. It's okay. We were talking about a balance, and you work.
Yeah.
And then people say, this is why you haven't settled down yet.
Yeah. Things like that. But I do make time to have, hang out with friends and make time for myself. Whenever I have one of those extremely rare days where I can just sit on the couch all day, literally all day, and watch Netflix, those are like the best days.
We have those days, huh?
Yeah. Very rarely, but yes.
Wow.
They come along once in a great while.
That's good. So you've been in the event side for a while as well. Worked under someone, learned the ropes, then opened up your own thing. Tell me about a sort of a demographic that you don't ideally like working with.
Whew. Every group has its challenges. But the one that I did actually almost consider not doing anymore. There was a time where I was teetering the line of deciding whether or not I was going to move forward doing events for children. And that is not to say that I don't like kids. I have 2 nieces. I love them, but I do not have children myself. And I do think that plays a factor because maybe my patience is not the same as someone who has kids. I think that's a fair assumption. But when it comes to children's events, anything can really happen. And if it can, it usually does. So they would get out of control. We had an event where kids would not listen to us, and they had these basketball video games, and they actually threw one up at the ceiling and broke a panel in the ceiling. So we had to take the balls away. It's just things like that. There was a lot of, with kids' parties, it was just very overwhelming. So I hit a point where I was actually going to stop doing them. But one thing that I really learned from the coordinator that I was working under is that you cannot assume that you're taking on the role of being the parent. But because most of these events, the parents just drop the kids off and they're like, you are the parent, take the kids. But it was just, I had to really be like, okay, you know what? They're going to go wild. They're going to go crazy. I can only do so much, and I cannot let it affect me so much. And so I had to let that go. And once I did, I was able to continue, and it wasn't as stressful.
Do you want kids?
I do not.
Take your time. Think about it.
I do not.
No, yeah.
Yeah, wow. And it's funny because I have girlfriends who were like, please, you'd be the best mom. And I'm like, it's not about that. Yeah, I think I would be a great mom, if I'm being honest. But I am one of those people who just does not believe I need children for my life to be fulfilled.
Fair, great. So in other words, nothing is drawing you to that end, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be married and have a lot of animals. Right. I'm a huge animal lover. And I love my nieces. They are amazing. I love hanging out with them, spoiling them, and giving them back, I want to travel and live my life 100% for me. And if
you can't with kids.
No. If I were to have kids, I would give everything, my heart, my soul, pour everything into my kids. And I just don't want to live my life that way.
Right. I want it for myself.
I want it for me. No, yeah, I know.
No,
and a lot of people, I've actually been told before when I was dating a guy that was very selfish.
Yeah, well, I know.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. I'll be selfish.
Yeah, he's calling. Yeah, it doesn't. It never makes sense. The acting side. I've also spent 15 years in New York pursuing that. Looking back on my career, it was quite evident for my journey that I went into that because I was seeking the external validation. Right?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The approval, the applause. I'm on stage, just like me. Well, of course, as performers, we have that urge and need to perform, but if I'm breaking it down, there was that. Any reason you can identify that drew you to this medium?
I think maybe as a kid, as a child, I loved being the center of attention. And I think certainly there might have been other not so great factors that contributed to that. But as an adult, I just really love the craft. I love stepping into the shoes of someone who's completely unlike myself. I find that usually I get cast as the bitch, the not so nice girl.
How do you play that? Good? You play it well?
I feel like I have I guess I have a natural knack for it, but that's not who I am as a person. But it's always really just exciting and fun to pretend to be someone that you're not. I think it's just really fun. And I love the idea of, I still have yet to book a really gory horror film, which is something that I'm really hoping to do soon. Because I just think, all of the effects, all of the costumes, the makeup, everything that makes film what it is just so exciting, and I want to delve into every part of it. I've also actually worked in production. I've directed and produced and written and starred in my own web series. So I love the production side too. Like, I love being the director, being in control from behind the cameras too. So I love all aspects of it.
Being in control. I just heard this. Are you a control freak?
No.
You're not?
No. Maybe a little bit. I might have a little control freak in me. If I think that something could be done better, I would like to be in control of it.
So you're a control freak?
Possibly. Like I said, like on a low level.
On a low level. Yeah. I thought it was, for me, I always thought it was all or nothing, but I'll give you a low level.
I think it's low level.
It's low level.
I can let somebody else take over, but I think that the exciting part of directing for me was that often when I would work on projects and I would be watching, overseeing, production, and I'm an actor, I would see the guidance and I would see something that I felt would make it more impactful, make it better, but I couldn't speak up. It's not your place. You're just the actor. So when I got to be in charge and say, like, have the vision and know exactly what I wanted and be able to make someone direct them to do what I wanted, it's a great position to be in.
Creativity.
Yes. Creating.
Go.
What do you mean?
What about it? We like being creative. We are creative. We appreciate creativity moments.
Yeah, I mean, creativity it's in my blood. I think some of us are just born that way. We have some people who are I have a friend of mine who's worked as a accountant, and she's very good at it. She makes excellent money. And she just recently hit a wall and said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm very good at it. I've been doing it forever, and I've been happy making all this money, but now I'm just going to take a break because I don't know what I want to do. But I think when you're creative, there are so many outlets and so many things that that you might want to do, that you might want to dabble in. And for me, it started with acting, then it went into dance, then it went into singing and songwriting, and then into events, then to owning a bartending company. I mean, there's so many outlets to be creative, and I love dabbling in so many different things that let me use my creative outlets.
Wow. Ooh, it seems like you've really helped your act along over these years. Pun probably intended. But really, from what I've learned, where you came from and the insecurities from the very beginning of your name, and was that, going back to that, was that something that others sort of helped you feel insecure about, or did you fully embrace that, the name?
Oh, the name, no. I don't.
It was all you.
I don't recall anyone else having an issue with my name. I think that was just my own hang up because it seemed
out of place. So
different. Like I said, it was like an everyone knows everyone town where there's Katie, Sarah, Amy. No one had a different name, So it made me feel isolated in that way, which I already felt isolated in other ways. Because actually, if I'm tapping back into the father thing, my mom there's three of us. There's me, my sister, and my brother. My brother and my sister shared the same father, who is still actively in their lives. But my father, I was the only child that had
so
my
they're
father.
half siblings.
Right. But so I always felt a little isolated in that way too.
Oh, because you're the only child there?
Right.
Wow.
And they had their father, he was in their lives, and mine was MIA, and I was kind of on my own. And I also look nothing like them. They look similar. So there were a lot of factors.
Yeah, isolation. It's a tough pill.
It is, yeah.
And it doesn't go away unless you can find a way to have it go away.
Yeah, I mean, my way of coping, and my sister actually brought this up to me recently. She told me, it was painful that you weren't close to us and you sort of adopted your friends as your family. And I said, well, those were the people that I felt were my family because I kind of felt like I was on my own, so I created this family. My friends were my family, and it did kind of, create a distance between my brother and my sister, but I felt like they also had this really strong bond. They were 5 years apart, and my brother was 10 years older than me. We're all 5 years apart.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And my brother just wanted nothing to do with me when I was a kid, but he was dealing with his own stuff is how he explains it. But, and they had this really tight connection, and he loved my sister, but I didn't have a strong connection with either one of them. Closer to my sister, but not as much, as I would have liked to.
Yeah, I can relate. I have 2 older brothers, 6 and 9 years older than me. So very similar things.
The age gap is, yeah.
And they weren't my, much in my life. By the time I was 7, 8, 9, they were out of the house.
Right.
Older. And so I felt isolated. And then you just, unless you get it in check, it could easily spiral. And then you have to find your coping mechanisms. What were yours?
I mean, I think, coping mechanisms for me were definitely my friends were we loved each other like family.
They helped.
My girlfriends were my sisters. I did struggle when I was 14 to 16 and dabbled in some bad drugs and things like that. Those were my ways of coping. But it's all a learning process. And as you get older, you grow and you learn. But yeah, I mean, I think that the solid friendships that I had established really helped me a lot.
Yeah. Where do you go from here? What's next? What's your vision? Where's your next path?
I always tell people when I get asked that kind of question, and it still rings true today, is ideally, I just want to be doing things for work. I just want to be working full time, doing only things that bring me joy. And, I would like to be financially comfortable so that if I, at the drop of the hat, want to travel for 3 months, I can. And hopefully eventually meet Mr. Right to tag along with me. But yeah, I mean, really, it's just, I just want to enjoy life and be comfortable and be doing things that I love.
Well, this is amazing. I happen to love this conversation. I think you are wonderful. I'm so glad that you're first, right?
Yes, my first. And thank you. I've loved every minute of being here. You're so easy to talk to. So it's really easy. And I've enjoyed it a lot.
Likewise. Thank you. You're beautiful inside and out.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing this to be your first. I'll wear that now forever because nobody could take that away from me.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much.
We're out. We did it. Woo!